Yeah. Okay, we'll take that 5-minute break.
First it wouldn't turn on, now it won't turn off.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Jody on a budget modification. Her information starts on page 2. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning. So I have with me the permanent supportive housing program. So I think Suzette and Stephen are on the line. And this request is to reallocate the budget. It was just maybe a few weeks ago that we decided how to spend the surplus funds. It has to be for permanent supportive housing, and the deadline for the grant is December 31st. And I am aware that we missed the deadline for capital purchases for this fiscal year, but I was guided to start the process so that we can start moving now instead of waiting. So the information on page 2 shows the account number and the surplus amounts, and I took the payroll expenses because that's the only current expenses being charged to these grants, and projected what the surplus will be at the end of this fiscal year. And so those are the amounts that we're asking to reallocate. And if you wanted more information about justifications for the purchase, Stephen and Suzette are prepared to share their justification.
Is there any questions from council?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Martin.
just wanted to, thank you, Madam Chair, and Jody and Suzette and Ann and Stephen. You guys are taking on a monumental task for us. Appreciate you guys stepping up and doing this for our community. And hopefully this will lead to more centers in other communities, because I know that's one thing that, you know, if you're home, you can heal a little bit easier and better. So with that, I'll make the motion to approve the expenditure or the change of funding. And then do we have to do a separate for the capital equipment?
Do you need a separate motion, Jody, or is one?
I am not familiar with the process. I just knew it needed council approval because it's a budget modification. I think I see Rick there. He may know what's required.
Go ahead, Rick. Do we need a second? Do we need 2 motions on that to modify the 2 accounts?
Excuse me. No, I don't believe so. I think the major action here is just because this is within contracts and grants, it's just requires the approval. If council wanted to help speed the process, you could also give approval for the capital purchase. You don't have to approve the actual purchase, but just approve the capital expenditure. That would give them the ability to get started on that process for the vehicle purchase.
So Martin, do you want to
I'll just
amend your motion to include the capital equipment?
I will, but with the caveat saying that they have to follow the procurement procedure with the exception of the date, I guess, the cutoff date.
Okay, did you get that, Abby?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a motion by Martin, a second by Charmel. All those in favor? Unanimous, motion carries.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks, Rob.
everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you, Anna, Stephen, Suzette, and Jody. Have a good day. Okay, next up, we've got Greg Spar on his packages, page 3 to 7 for a resolution approval.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chairman, members of council.
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. You all know my assistant, Mariah Camel. I've asked her to join me again today.
Glad to see you.
So what I'm bringing before council today is a proactive action for us to anticipate the next distribution of the mandatory water rights funding that will happen in fiscal year 2022. We're trying to be proactive to demonstrate our intention and our expectations that the secretary will be making and dividing that allocation in the upcoming fiscal year. The Water Compact distributes these dollars, $90 million on an annual basis, and the organization may determine how to allocate those funds between the compact account and the settlement account, which are the two holding positions for the organization. We're asking for the resolution to accept the fiscal year 2022 allocation and to further include a letter of instruction to divide those dollars equally 50-50 between the compact account and the settlement account on behalf of the organization. In previous actions, the council has both adopted the resolution and signed the letter instructing that the assets be handled in that same manner.
Is there any questions from council? Go ahead, Lynn.
And this will be directed at Rick. So Rick, so as I understand it, they'd be dividing the 90 million. Now, is this going to be an opportunity for us to utilize the compact funding for land acquisition and other projects?
Yeah, so, excuse me, the split, the 45-45, the portion that Greg mentioned will come into the compact account. That's the portion that we have access to now. The settlement piece requires the rest of the funding to be appropriated, and that is that's the piece that's the remaining $1 billion. So until that is fully appropriated, which there's a proposal in one of the infrastructure bills at the federal level to fully fund all tribal water settlements, that could significantly speed that process up. But that's our most flexible funding, is the portion that we won't have access to yet. But the 45 that is going into the compact account, we just need to use that for compact work, so FIP project work, or necessary expenditures to implement that. And so I think there are potential opportunities for us to identify parcels that we would need to purchase in order to make the necessary improvements to the irrigation project, as well as do things like potentially start work on some of the cultural training aspects that we'll need for the permitting process that are incorporated in the water compact, and new administration needs for the oversight of the compact implementation. So there's quite a bit of flexibility here, including potentially land purchases, but they all need to tie to the irrigation project or implementing the water compact, if that makes sense.
Okay. Because I guess what I'm getting at is there are parcels that council has shown interest in the past, and I would just like us to figure out, strategize a way to acquire those properties sooner than later. I mean, I really hate to see us wait until the next fiscal year. You know, because I'm thinking, I don't know about what the council's thinking, but I'm thinking we need to start buying up these properties in the next couple months, you know, or even weeks, if that's possible. Because of the big land grab that's taking place right now on the reservation, I just wanted to try to enhance our acquisition budget here as soon as we can.
Yeah, but I think that's a good point. Ryan, the water compact implementation team, including Greg, Ryan and Seth and all of the different players, I think they're scheduling a meeting for Monday to kind of lay out some of the details for what they need to be planning for and budgeting for. I'll make sure that they're thinking kind of in those realms as well. And but I anticipate there will probably be a follow-up discussion that we'll need to have with council, but we can try and get that on the agenda soon.
Thank you, Rick. Carol, did you have something?
Yeah, it's my understanding that we will be receiving more mandatory distributions. Is that correct? So I'm curious of why we haven't set up some kind of schedule for receiving, or does it require that you come into council? And I understand and know the importance of letting the membership know when we receive funding, but is that why we're doing this, or?
Yeah, every year. I'll jump in, although Greg could probably address this as well. Every year we have to propose a split of the 90 million, and this is part of that process. So, and that's written into the language. So we have to propose a split of the 90 million, the portion that we think should go to the settlement versus the compact. And
Okay, question. What if we decided not to accept the split? What happens? Seems like it's pretty obvious, or?
There is a default selection inside of the act that does the split 50-50. So to address a question perhaps that may be on your mind or all of your mind, we may reach a point where our planning and our forward-looking strategies indicate that we may change that split away from a 50-50 that directs more money towards the compact in order to address some additional objectives or spending processes. So you'll see me another several times in order to talk about the split, and it should be in conjunction with some of the upcoming plans for the fiscal years. So we'll be able to modify that. But at this moment, there aren't enough projects on the schedule for the current fiscal year and the next fiscal year for us to make a modification or deviate from that 50-50.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you. I kind of recollect that.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Carol. Go ahead, Greg.
If there are no other questions, I'd ask us to look at the resolution on page 6.
For which one? The letter or for the resolution?
He's out of the room.
So the resolution harkens back to the action that council took on March of last year. And then it harkens to the letter in the split.
Okay, so Carol had a motion to approve the resolution.
Yeah.
Second by Charmel. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Madam Chair, I make the resolution or the motion to approve the letter as well.
Excuse me, I didn't hear you. What was that?
I guess we might as well do a resolution to approve the signature of the letter.
Oh, okay. So a motion to approve the letter, second by Bean. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Would you like me to provide an additional resolution to cover the letter, or how would you like me to proceed? You're okay?
Not the letter's good.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good day all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. Okay, so next up is Rick with the capital equipment. We're looking at pages 8 and 9. This is an open, right, Rick?
Madam Vice Chair, if I may, I would like to actually talk about both of my issues together and have the initial part of the discussion in executive.
So you want to go into executive?
Yeah, and then I think when we come out, we can discuss the capital equipment approval.